Okay, our newest unit is going to be all about atoms, and one of the things that we do during this unit is a project called the Atom Model Project, where you'll be selecting one of the elements from the periodic table of elements and then building an atom model of that element. So this is a take-home project. You don't have any time to work on it in class. This is all to be done on your own time and using your own materials. However, uh, it's not something that you need to spend money on, go to the craft store, buy a bunch of stuff. I have put out some example atom models in the middle part of the lab area. You can go and take a look at some of the things that people have used in the past. So be creative. Uh, Use some junk that you have lying around the house, things that you might have multiple pieces of, and see what you can come up with. As far as the guidelines go, some things that you can't use to make your model. Anything that will spoil, rot, melt, explode, or create a mess. We're going to have these hanging up in the classroom for the remaining part of the school year. And so fruit, vegetables, things like that. Not a good idea. Some people have used paintballs in the past, and I was okay with that until the atom model started falling apart, and then it hit the floor and it burst and paint went everywhere. So nothing like that. These atom models are also going to be hung from the ceiling, so we need to be able to hang them from a paper clip stuck into the ceiling tiles. So don't make it too heavy, and make sure that there's a spot on the atom that we can tie a string to and then hang it from a paper clip. You're also going to need to make a key for your atom, which we'll talk more when we get to the scoring rubric on the other side. But the key must be attached to the bottom of your atom model so that people can see it. It should not be larger than a note card, and it should be computer printed, not handwritten on a piece of notebook paper. That will cost you points. The larger the atom you build, meaning by atomic number, and in the unit, as we go through it, you'll learn what atomic number means and some of these other things, but the better your grade. So you can see here, depending on what element you pick and what its atomic number is, the grades that you can get. If you turn and look at the periodic table on the wall of the classroom, in the upper right corner of each square, there's a blue number. That's the atomic number. So if you want to get an A, you have to pick atomic number 19 up through the highest number that's up there, and you can potentially get an A for building any one of those elements. Different atomic numbers are going to mean different amounts of pieces. Again, that's stuff we'll talk about throughout the unit. Also, I would like this rubric to be turned in with your project. Don't lose it. It's going to be kind of your scoring rubric. What do you need to do? And also scoring for points. The project is not worth 100 points. It's only worth 50. So we'll change that. And late models will be downgraded if you don't turn it in by the due date, which is December 18th, which is not mid-quarter. Then the maximum score you can get is 75%. So you're going to have 2 weeks. We'll be working on the unit here for about 2-3 days. And then after that, we'll get through this, go on to the next unit, but you're going to have 2 weeks to put this thing together. As far as the scoring goes, the rubric. So the things that you need for your key, you need your name, class hour, part identification. So when you put this thing together, what are you using for the different atom parts? So then when I look at it, if you're using like pink marshmallows for protons, I need to know that so I know what I'm looking at. Your element name, the atomic symbol, atomic mass, atomic number. The state at room temperature, is it a solid, liquid, or gas at room temperature? And then is your key typed? On the right side here, you see planning area. So that's what would you put on your key. So like your name, it would be your name, class hour, your class hour. A written out section for what your part identification is going to look like. Element name, what element are you picking? What's its atomic symbol? Blah, blah, blah. Going down the line here. Atoms have 3 parts, protons, neutrons, and electrons. So you need to make sure that you have each of those as a part of your atom model. And then the correct number of each part. You have the correct number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. And in the space here, as you figure out how many protons there are, you can write that in, how many electrons you need, how many neutrons you need. You can put that information in here so that you keep yourself organized. Correct number of energy levels, that's 4 points. Again, that's something we'll talk about moving forward. Model creativity. Is it a really cool looking atom model? Did you use interesting things? Does it look nice? That's worth 10 points. Also 10 points. It needs to be able, like I said before, to be hung from a paper clip in the ceiling. So make sure that you design it that way. That's 10 points. And then did you turn in this scoring rubric with your Atom model? That's worth 5 points. If I print out a whole new copy for you, that's going to cost you 5 points. So at the bottom here, you see the total score out of 50 and the student name. And a really good resource for looking up stuff about your Atom is the website webelements.com. Of course, there's other websites you can go to, but that's one that I particularly like, and we'll talk about a little bit next week. But I know I'm introducing this before we've talked about the unit. You probably have lots of questions about what these things are and how it's going to go together. Like I said, there's examples in the back of the room that you can take a look at. I'll be back on Monday. We can go over some things. We'll be, going through the unit. How can you tell me protons, neutrons, electrons? All that information will be coming out in class. But I want you to start thinking about it, planning it. What grade do you want to get? What elements might you be able to use? That sort of thing. And be thinking about it. What things might you have at home that you could use? Put your Atom models together. Okay. If you have immediate questions, things that you want to know about, you can email me. I might not be able to respond until Sunday. But if you have them, you can do that. Otherwise, I'll take questions at the start of the hour on Monday.